Hi, Craig Sigel here, author of the book Break 80, 52 Ways to Lower Your Golf Score Without Practice. And I'm here to give you the shortcut secrets to a consistent golf game that results in lower scores for you. Have you ever heard these words and talking about a golfer or other athlete playing over his or her head? He's playing unconscious. This is where we're going. You know, that's said so often these days, it's like a sports cliche. Or maybe you heard it this way: she's playing out of her mind. You know, every mental guru will tell you that the best way to play golf is to play unconsciously. But that's a heck of a lot easier said than done now, isn't it? So how do you do that? Now, before I give you that, and you're going to get that in this series, you first got to break out of the box like the one I was in. Because now I'm going to talk about some things in this video, and the next one as well, that if you really pay attention, can have profound effects on improving your game and lowering your score. But in order to do that, I'd like to just help you open your mind for a moment. Because I'm going to teach you a powerful method here that can really be a game changer if you stay flexible. It won't conflict with anything you're doing now or any other golf instruction for that matter. And I promise you, I will make total sense and back up everything with logic. By the way, I'm a big skeptic. I hardly believe anything unless it makes logical sense or is backed up by science. And I still need to see the results before I really buy into it. I understand you if you're like that. Now, let's go back to what it means to play unconscious golf. Sam Snead, who had one of the sweetest swings on earth, when asked what he thought of when he was swinging the club, would say, nothing. Now we're getting somewhere. That's unconscious golf. You know, when I meet golfers at events or seminars that I put on, I like to ask them if they were to get a lot more consistency, would that help their game and lower their scores? The answer is almost always yes, as it should be, right? I then ask them, what's the most consistent thing you do from the time you're born until the time you die? Usually the answer is something like breathing, which is a good answer, but it's not correct. The answer is your heart beating. And you never have to think about it. It just keeps beating over and over and over. The definition of playing unconscious golf is to be playing the game with that part of you that controls the beating of your heart. And I call it the unconscious mind. You're starting to get the picture here. It's no accident when they say he or she is playing unconscious. By the way, I've heard other people call it the subconscious. We're talking about the same thing, but I don't like the prefix sub because it tends to mean lesser or lower. And I'm going to teach you that it's actually the greater part of you, and definitely the part that you want to golf with. All right? Have you ever heard of that old saying that we only use 10% of our brain power? Well, that's not exactly true, as it's being used all right. It's just being used on 90% of automatic functioning outside of your awareness. So it's time now for you to tap into that 90% and control it. It's extremely powerful and robotically consistent. So the first part of this strategy then, it's to set yourself up with like a separate part of you that you just assume is totally consistent and has all the instructions stored for how to hit a great shot or an amazing putt. Think about this. It's an absolute fact that if you've hit a great shot with each of your clubs, then you have the memory and instructions stored for how to repeat it over and over and over with consistency. And it doesn't matter how pretty your swing is. By the way, your unconscious mind is your entire body. It's the collective intelligence of all the individual cells in your body. You see, to swing a golf club or make a putt, it's not just the muscle memory of those movements. No, it's much, much more than that. Anyone who studies the brain and the body will tell you that it's way beyond complex, and we don't need to understand all those details. But let me do a demonstration of this power so you can feel it, all right? Here we go. Take your non-dominant elbow. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to use my left hand. Switch if you're left-handed, all right? Here's what you want to do. Write your name in the air with your non-dominant elbow. Were you able to do that? I want you to think of this for a moment. You've never done this before, and yet you can do it for the first time. What you learned to do with your dominant writing hand, you can do with your elbow. The muscle and nerve cells that work the elbow have the same knowledge that your writing hand has, even though you've never practiced that before. How is that possible? I want you to think about that while I continue. Because the second part of this strategy is to have regular internal conversation with this new perfect golfer inside of you. The reason you want to do this is because it becomes a metaphor for you and your game. Let's pull back the curtain for a moment here. You see, metaphors, analogies, stories, parables, they are a very effective way to tap into that powerful 90% I've been talking about and that consistency mechanism I talked about. You already know that just telling yourself to be more consistent is about as effective as telling yourself to be calm when facing a 4-foot putt with significant money on the line or anything at stake, all right? All the greatest teachers, advertisers, politicians, they all use these techniques to get inside your unconscious mind this way. It's no secret. It's just time for you to take advantage of it. And some other tools and techniques I have, and apply them to your golf game. And maybe some other areas of your life, but that's another story. Anyway, this will all make more sense as we go along. So next, what you want to do is to personalize that perfect golfer part of you. Me personally, I'm happy just calling it my unconscious. Tim Galway, in his book, Inner Golf, it's now a classic, called it Self 2. Call it whatever you like, but give it a name. So why do we want to do this? Sounds kind of silly, huh? Right? I hear some people saying, come on, Craig, what's all this crazy stuff? I just need to get out of the house and hit a zillion golf balls like my instructor says, and my game will come around, right? Well, like I said before, yeah, by all means, go and practice if you can. Whether you do or don't practice, what you're learning here is going to take your game to the next level if you really want it to. All right, finally, the strategy to continue. You want to begin to have little short conversations with your perfect golfer self all the time. Like build a rapport, always remembering that that part of you knows how to sink long putts, read greens, stick approaches at the flag, and hit 300-yarders right down the middle. Well, maybe not 300 for you, maybe 200. And you want to begin to talk to it like it's your little brother or sister who wants to be just like you and is willing to do whatever you say because he or she looks up to you. It's really helpful to create an image of your perfect golfer. You know, it could be a mirror image of you, or anything you want. Maybe a younger you, maybe a pro golfer you. Let me explain how this works in reality on the golf course. You see, when golfers miss a shot, right, what they usually do is look for what they did wrong mechanically, right? When I miss a shot, I chalk it up to the fact that I didn't tell my perfect golfer self exactly what it is that I want, or I didn't make that connection anyway. In other words, it's a communication error, not a swing error. What? Why? Because as I said earlier, I assume that my great golfer self knows how to hit the ball perfectly. The problem is it also knows how to hit it poorly, many different ways, right? The only difference between a great shot and a poor one is in making that connection, having that communication. So the big takeaway for you here is that you have a great golfer inside you. You've seen and felt it before on numerous occasions out there on the course, at least for a couple holes during a round, right? Now we're intentionally connecting with that golfer. and getting it to work for us and clearing away the static to that communication, the interference. Then we're going to learn how to turn the shot over to that perfect golfer out on the course when it counts. The reward for this is repeatability, consistency. The same consistency that's used to beat your heart, to keep you alive, it's right there inside you waiting to be used for your golf. It's so much fun. Now in the next video, I'm going to give you more specifics on how to make that communication connection and destroy some myths that have been holding you back, more interference. I'll also give you a very simple way to dramatically improve your focus. A tactic that you can do while sitting in your easy chair at home. I'm Craig Sigel, your no practice expert. I'll see you on the next video, Greens and Fairways.